Greetings, adventurers. Welcome back to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Here I am with the next in our Class War series, the ultimate build for Bard. Now, I've got Barderas, the Bard. Now, a little backstory for Barderas is basically the inspiration I drew from this was Antonio Banderas. He does the voice for Puss in Boots in the Shrek series. He's also done the excellent acting for El Mariachi in the movie Desperado. And I kind of combined the two characters, Puss in Boots and El Mariachi, into what I thought would be a great Bard backstory. Now, this is not by means the how you have to do a Bard backstory or anything like that. It's just fun for me because I'm a huge fan of Antonio Banderas and the Desperado movie. So basically, we have a Tabaxi, lived on the border town, very near the border of Tabaxi lands, and, you know, was a minstrel. He had a great life, had a wife, a band. Things were going well. But unfortunately, there was another evil doer, part of the criminal element that gives Tabaxi a bad name, that in turn got himself hold of guns and shot out our poor Barderas' hands. Now, also killed his lady love. And this resulted in him being injured for quite some time and having to relearn to use his hand, eventually learning to use mage hand to strum his guitar rather than his actual hand. And having to learn to use improvised weapons. His lute doubles as a crossbow, his guitar a rapier, his flute a staff. He is armed everywhere he goes, but appears unarmed. And let us not forget that in his rage and his anger, his music itself can harness the weave of magic, change reality itself to bring fire, illusion, and mental manipulation onto his enemies. And that's his backstory. He's out for revenge. Take down the men, women who were part of the criminal organization that killed his love, crippled his hand, ruined his life. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of this Bard build. Now, I chose a Tabaxi as a race for this. That's not really key in a build to me. Race is more flavoring or trying to get a few particular extra abilities. They're not necessarily key in all builds or class builds. Tabaxi is a pretty good one for a Bard, as they get +2 to dexterity, which is your second most important ability score. Chemistry or charisma is your first, of course, and then additionally they have minstrels and they need to gather lore and whatnot that just really fits, you know, their culture, their class ability, their racial abilities, all of that really kind of fits into a good Bard build for them. Now, another one I really considered was the Azamar, with its racial ability bumps, its stuff. Particularly, I think it was the Protector subclass with their healing hand and the ability to fly were particularly desirable to me. These added some elements that could be very interesting. And like I said, racial abilities were right there in the same kind of wheelhouse with the +2 to charisma. Now, another one I looked at was the the Yanti pureblood. Now you're going to find that in Volo's Guide to Monsters, I do believe is the full title. Volo has the Asmir in there as well, and you can build that as kind of a very interesting kind of bard, in the sense that what would be a bard without emotion? A bard who has been in a society of Byzantine level backstab, deception, plots, and ploys, and taken that and gone out in the world to spy for their Yanti masters, or broken away from them, and carrying out whatever cover they had before as a bard. However you want to do that backstory. They have a +2 for racial abilities, 2 charisma, so that's fantastic. 1 to intelligence. Often intelligence could be a dump stat here. I put in strength. Don't really need to be strong to be a bard. Dexterous for sleight of hand. It really works, but and stealth, but strong really isn't that. But Yanti has a lot to pull for it, and if I wasn't so dead set on the Tabaxi backstory with kind of doing internal Barderas, I probably would have chose this one. While you get +2 to dexterity with the Tabaxi, and you get the 1 to I keep wanting to say chemistry for some reason. Not chemistry. It's charisma. While you get that with the Tabaxi, you do get a straight up 2 to charisma and 1 to intelligence, which can be helpful to kind of even out a lower score that you might want to be a little bit higher. But it comes with the dark vision, it comes with 30 feet of movement, but what it interestingly has is some inherent spell casting with friendship on animals, or snakes particularly, poison spray is a cantrip you already have, and magic resistance. So saving throws against magic spells and other magical effects. If you're going to be in a heavy magic kind of world where you're going to see a lot of spell casting and encounters with wizards and sorcerers and whatnot, this is fantastic. Now, do not think this is going to help you with dragons. Remember, breath weapon is not magical, so that's not a dragon thing. Additionally, they have immunity to poison. Now, poison has been pretty nerfed in 5th edition. It is the biggest thing you're going to see resistance and immunity to, but it is also very much used by a lot of creatures in 5th edition, and even with resistance in some cases, particularly if you're coming across a green dragon, that breath weapon can be pretty deadly when you're dealing with an adult or even a young dragon, and taking that kind of damage, particularly every round if the DM's rolling for the recharge, can be very, very stressful. So having poison resistance, also being able to do things like the Princess Bride, choose the poison. Which cup has the poison in it? Well, they both do, because I don't care. That kind of thing can be very helpful. There's all kinds of little ways in flavor, role-playing, combat, that poison immunity can be huge. A straight-up immunity to a damage type is big, so never underestimate that in your game, particularly if you know your DM and you know they're going to use poison a lot, or make poison readily available to you. A bard with it's often going to parties where music and drinking has to be had, sleight of hand skill that they use their expertise on, and suddenly you have someone who can slip poison in and get out and nobody's going to suspect, especially with a good deception or stealth check. Now, that's class or race for this. Now, I went with on the Barderas' background. If I could get my page to load right, was Sage. Just a pursuer of knowledge. And what that did for skill sets was it gave a proficiency to Arcana and History. Now, not having to choose these particular ones that are very useful for a bard. Particularly, a bard is going to be part of stories and songs and things like that. So a proficiency in this is not something that would be unusual for them, but it also gives you a great little niche in a party because, maybe the wizard flips their role and you've got a bunch of melee classes that are going to be proficient in Arcana or History. The information you garner from a good roll in Arcana and History can really change things. And, the right information can undermine the whole of a DM's campaign if they're not careful. Now, also, going back to race, I forgot to add, with Tabaxi you get Perception and Stealth as skill proficiencies as well, which I think are two of the best abilities to have, period. Particularly Perception. Your passive perception, what you're going to notice around you, the long shadows that coming out of the alley for the ambush that's setting you up, or that key that's just dropped behind the dresser, or a little piece of paper, or the breeze from the secret door, whatever it might be that you wouldn't notice, or your DM's not gonna just flat out let you roll for unless you ask for it. It can be really helpful in that regard. So we get to the class. Now the class I chose for this bard, for the ultimate build, the ultimate subclass for bard, I chose a lower bard. Now, I could hear the arguments, and I had a difficult time choosing the subclass myself. I came up with 3 runner-ups for this. In fact, it was so difficult. Now, College of Elegance was my first runner-up. I'm not doing these in particular order, so say first runner-up. It's not necessarily the best of the runner-up, but the ability to speak to anybody, calm emotions pretty much at will. Those right there as just third level selections when you choose the subclass can be huge in role play and in setting up combat. If your DM likes to throw in orders or some sort of role play in combat, you understanding the language of them and being able to clue your party into something that your DM's setting up through commands. The orcs are commanding something, or talking about how something's going to come up soon. That can be real advantageous in combat, but it can also help you prevent combat. It can help you understand that something isn't really meant to be a combat situation if you only understood the language. Now you've slaughtered these innocents, and their family and friends are going to come kill you because you killed them because you thought they were hostile when they were going, hey, you want to come to the village and have a dinner? Not be dinner. So that's that's really with College of Elegance one of the big thing. The other part of this that I really liked was the undeniable logic. To add a little psychic damage with your bardic inspirations, which you very much have to kind of miser and hold on to for the right moment. It's not, you shouldn't be using these willy-nilly. You should be looking for the moment where you really need to throw out something. But, the ability to, give them psychic damage equal to the roll is pretty impressive. You get up to a D12 with this. So 1d12 psychic damage, which most creatures aren't immune or resistant to, is going to be awesome. And then on top of that, if they fail an intelligence saving throw, they have disadvantage on their next saving throw. And you can also do regain of hit points and give advantage to saving throw to one of your allies. And, the infectious inspiration. When a creature adds one of your bardic inspiration dice to an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, and if the roll fails, they get to keep the die. So until they're successful, they get to keep the die. That is awesome. And if they're successful, you can use your reaction to double it up and give another a bardic inspiration without expending any of your others. That is action economy for bardic inspiration right there. So that's the great part about that one. Then we have the College of Glamour. Now, College of Glamour is kind of based on a Fae character or Fae background kind of thing. So an Eladrin or somebody that spent time in the Feywild would be okay with this one. Now, you have the Mantle of Inspiration at 3rd level. So you can expend one of your bardic inspirations to take on this wondrous appearance, choose a number of creatures you see within 60 feet, up to a number equal to your charisma modifier. Each of them gains 5 temporary hit points. And here's the part that's best about this. It's not the 5 temporary hit points. You start getting up high in levels, that can be meaningful, but not necessarily. But the big part is they can immediately use their action to move up to its movement speed, without provoking attacks of opportunity. That is huge. That is battlefield manipulation. You can switch up where everybody is on the field of your team when your enemies have lined up against you. That is like rearranging the chessboard halfway through the game. That is huge. Do not underestimate the combat potential of that. Then there is Thralling Performance. Now this is one of the more situational and longer setup with the whole at least 1 minute. You attempt to inspire an audience with your singing. Now each target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your DC or be charmed by you. Now, charm has its powerful effect, particularly when you're going to probably be using this in a social situation where you need to get on somebody's good side and get something from them. This can be huge for that. But then we go down to Mantle of Majesty. Now this is my favorite part of this College of Glamour. You get to use command as a bonus action each turn without expending a spell slot. That is just awesome. And remember, you have ways to charm people. So people who are already charmed by you, they automatically fail this command. So you can start doubling up on things here. And then you have Unbreakable Majesty. As a bonus action, once again, you're taking on this magical presence for a minute. And for the duration, any creature tries to attack you for the first time on a turn must make a charisma saving throw against your DC. On a failed save, it can't attack you. And if it can't attack anyone else, it's wasted its attack. That can be huge. And even if it's successful on the save, it gets to attack you. But then it gets disadvantage on the next spell you have. Command? Or anything else you have that needs a saving throw with a bard can be very devastating when they have disadvantage on that. Even for somebody who has a high modifier for the save. The next one up is College of Whispers. Now this one was hard to turn away. The Psychic Blades. Oh my goodness, this was a fantastic one. get to hit somebody with your weapon attack. And if you set up your bard to be an attacker, which you would be if it's College of Whispers, and they hit with this, you're talking 2d psychic damage. You can only do it once per round, but the damage increases. So by the time you get to 15th level, that's 8d6 psychic damage. That's like throwing a fireball on somebody, yet they probably don't have any resistance or immunity. Other than it being an area effect, not being an area effect, you can't beat that. 8d6 psychic damage. That's 24 points of psychic damage on average. Beautiful. Then you have the Mantle of Whispers. You can use Shadow as an action, and you can take Shadow from someone who's recently died and turn into them for a little while. Now this can be very situational. It can be very dependent on a lot of circumstances, but the use of this cannot be understated. Being able to look exactly like somebody, take on their characteristics, and head in and work with a bonus to your deception of +5, that can be key to some crucial role-playing or crucial shenanigans you want to play in this game. And then we go a little bit deeper into the Shadow lore with level 14. As an action, you can magically whisper a phrase that only one creature of your choice within 30 feet can hear. The target must make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. It automatically succeeds if it doesn't share a language with you. And if it's successful, it just sounds unintelligible. But if it fails, it is charmed by you for the next 8 hours or until you or your allies attack it. It interprets the whispers as a deception of the most mortifying secret. When you gain no knowledge of the secret, the target is convinced you know it. While charmed in this way, the creature obeys your commands for fear that you will reveal the secret. It won't risk its life for you or fight for you, unless it's already inclined to do so. It grants you favors and gifts it would offer to a close friend. 14th level, every town you come to, the barkeep, the mayor, whoever you want, is in your pocket. That's some good stuff. Now, you may have to get out of town quickly, but if you do this right, this could be game changing. So those are the runners. College of Elegance, College of Glamour, College of Whispers. Build your bard on those, you can't go wrong. There's some setbacks and things like that I didn't feel that were as up to snuff as Lore Bard. Now, getting into Lore Bard. Now you have Bardic Inspirations, of course, which is equal to the number of your Charisma modifier. They start off at a D6, they go up to a D8, D10, and then a D12 at level 15. You throw one of these out as a bonus action on your turn to a creature other than yourself, and they can use this for ability checks, attack rolls, save throws. This can be clutch. I mean, Bless with the Cleric to give a D4 can be clutch for saving throws, for ability checks. You get all of that here, and you get start off with a D6. Eventually it's a D12. It is awesome. Now here's another one. You get a lot of proficiency in skill sets here with the Bard, but even if you're not proficient, you still get a Jack of all trades, where you get half your proficiency bonus, rounded down, to any ability check you make that does not include your proficiency bonus. Well, think about this. Death saving throws and initiative are ability checks. So when your bard goes down or wants to be the first in combat, that Jack of Trades is coming into effect. In addition, even if you're not proficient in this skill, your Jack of all trades is going to help you a little bit for roles like that. you didn't take investigation, intimidation, whatever, and you need to perform that skill right then and there, well, when you get to level 10, you've got a proficiency of 4, adding 2 to everything, starting off with an additional 1 can make the difference in some key situations. Add to that, you get a Song of Rest. Now that's where you can use soothing music, help revitalize wounded allies. So it starts out with a D6 but goes up to D8, D10, and a D12 at level 17. So they get to regain that at the end of a short rest. So that's extra HP. That's one less hit die that you need to roll. Maybe 2 if they're a wizard. Then add to that, we get expertise. So when I chose the this class, so I told you, background gave Arcana and History with the Sage. Perception and Stealth came from the Tabaxi. Then I chose Acrobatics, Deception, Intimidation, Perception, Performance, and oh no, not Perception, Performance, Persuasion, and then the 6 with Sleight of Hand. Those 6 on top of that, that's 10 skills you're proficient in. And with expertise, you get to be doubly proficient. So instead of your 2, 3, 4 proficiency modifier, you get to double that up to 4, 6, 8. You get to level 20, that's 12. You got a +5 to your charisma modifier. Every time you want to be deceptive, that's +17 to deception. You got a +3 to dexterity, that's a +15 to sleight of hand or stealth check. You disappear. You pick that pocket or plant the evidence on somebody. And that's where I'm going with this. Acrobatics, performance, you can see that pretty easily. Deception and persuasion, pretty easily. Sleight of hand and stealth, I chose to put this in here through the racial background and selection because those are really useful. Sleight of hand can do a lot for you in a game. Never underestimate it. And DMs, oh my god, use sleight of hand. Plant evidence on your players. Put a bomb in their pocket. Get ridiculous. Poison their drinks. Steal from them. Show them the viciousness of not having a good perception. And if they catch whoever you're doing it, that's just a combat, an encounter, some roleplay incident, anything. It can lead to all kinds of stuff. So, huge. Now, for the first bit of expertise at third level, I chose performance and stealth. Performance because probably in lower levels it's more likely that you're going to be playing for your supper or trying to impress somebody with your ability to use your instruments or whatnot. Stealth, being able to hide or not be noticed, is really good when you're low level. You do not want to be that character like the big fighter with their plate mail, clanking it up and ruining the surprise that you can get with stealth. A surprise round, being able to evade combat, to get advantage on a roll, whatever it may be that stealth's providing, it can be huge. It can prevent a lot of headaches along the way. So I go there. You can just as easily go with sleight of hand, deception, persuasion as for this expertise as well, if you think about it. A lot of times, things can be very specific to your game and how you're going to role play the character. So think about that too. You don't have to just go by how I built the character. There are times where you might want to change it up because you know something specific about how the game's going to play or what you're going to encounter. Now, we get to college, College of Lore. Now, one of the reasons is not only do you get the 3 skills of the bard, you get 3 additional skills at 3rd level with this. That is huge. Additionally, you get cutting words. Cutting words can be just as crucial as giving out that bardic inspiration. But a lot of times you don't remember to give that bardic inspiration out. You know, you don't, oh, we're going to enter combat. Here, let me give you a bardic inspiration to make sure you don't screw up the roll that you always screw up. Or we're going to go stealth. Here, you're going to clank like an idiot. Or you have disadvantage on this. So here's some bardic inspiration. Give that to that person ahead of time in the right moment. But cutting words can always be clutch as using your reaction to undercut somebody's attack roll. Let me see, it's attack roll or ability check. You know, it can also be used to help your a party member be successful on that. You know the dragon is down to the last bit. If it hits, you need that when the dragon goes down. Otherwise, the dragon's turn's next, then you're all screwed. Because it might get his breath weapon back. I use dragons a lot because the breath weapon's powerful. Lich, Death Knight, Beholder. You can throw away whatever scary monster you want. It's just a matter of cutting words can be crucial as something that you can just pull out and undercut the big bad when they're about to cut down another player, kill somebody, or do something that's going to help them get away. Any number of things. This is situationally brilliant. You can also just screw with people. It's fun. Now, at 3rd level, the next thing I'm going to point out is spell selection. Now, cantrips, I'm going to go with Mage Hand and Vicious Mockery. Mage Hand is a utility spell that you should always have, and it fits with the background I've built for my Tabaxi. They use the Mage Hand to strum for the hand that they can't anymore. Vicious Mockery, same reason you like cutting words. Vicious Mockery, killing people with the psychic damage off it, is just brutal. You made fun of someone and killed them. It's just, and the room for flavor and hilarity, quotes at your table. You know, one of the things that we tried for a while, and, you know, the person who was doing it just didn't really want to do it after a while because it was just, they were too busy laughing. Was we tried to take down the quotes from our table and keep track of those. And there were a lot of them at each game. But if you have somebody that can, you know, secretary that, you will have like just some beautiful phrases to remember from your games that have come up. Now, for spells, at 1st level, you're going to get 4 known spells, 2 spell slots in 1st level. Fairy Fire. That is going to help you with invisible people. Good little AoE that's going to just highlight bad people and works really well. Healing Word. Heal somebody at a distance. It's just obvious. Silent Image. You know, this silent illusion that you can just put out there for distraction, cover, whatever it might be. It's fantastic. Then add in, for the 4th spell, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I love this spell. Incapacitate people with laughter. Nothing more fitting for a bard. Then at 2nd level, you get an additional spell known and an additional spell slot for 1st level. I chose Dissonant Whispers. Now, you could substitute this for Thunderwave if you want a little more damage dealing and area effect, but it's loud. And Dissonant Whispers scales up quite nicely. And if you target this at, you know, some of the tougher character on the field of battle, particularly if their action economy is higher, they got to run away if they fail. So at that point, while Thunderwave might damage them, it's not going to make them run away and create distance and disrupt battlefield the way that Dissonant Whispers can. And you're still going to do some damage even if they don't fail. So that's why I chose that one. Now at 3rd level, you get access to your 2nd level spells and get up to 6 known spells. At this point, I chose invisibility. Visibility is utility to the hilt. You know, once again, that's stealth, being able to hide, being able to sneak into places. What you can get away with stealth is just up to your imagination. It is fantastic. Now we go to 4th level. That's where we get our ability score improvement. That's all going into charisma. And let me go back, because I didn't say it before. I once again used the standard roll with this. I put 14 I put 15 in charisma and 14 into dexterity. With the +2 of the Tabaxi dex and the +1 to charisma, I ended up with 16 in dexterity, 16 in charisma. I did 10 in intelligence, 12 in wisdom. I did 8 into strength and 13 into constitution. That's what it was. You can set this up however you want, just as long as you make sure that you focus in on dexterity and charisma as your highest stats. And like I said, for the ability score, I'm going to dump that all into charisma. Then at this point, you get an additional cantrip. I went prestidigitation. The utility of prestidigitation is manifold, and you look through that spell, you're going to find roll after roll. You could find 1,001 uses for that thing. Just use your imagination. And then also you get another spell slot for 2nd level, another known spell, and I chose Heat Metal. Now Heat Metal is fantastic. Now your DM might screw you over and let the enemy have doffed armor where they can just in a turn take it off. But if they don't, putting Heat Metal on somebody's armor just guarantees damage turn after turn after turn. If the DM's getting kind of, I'm just going to use doffed armor to undermine it, well, hey, their weapons work the same way. And they want to use them, there you go. And it is recurring damage round after round. As long as you hold that concentration, it is fantastic. Then we go to 6th level. 6th level, our Bardic Inspiration goes up to a D8. You gain Font of Inspiration. That's where you regain all your expended uses of Bardic Inspiration at a short rest as well as a long rest. So that is going to add to how often you can use all those Bardic Inspirations, which is awesome. Now 6th level gives you, as well as Counter Charm. I'm not a big one into this one, but as an action, you can start a performance that lasts until the end of your next turn. During that time, you and any friendly creatures within 30 feet have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed. And that's pretty much it. But it's very situational. It also very much takes a whole action. I think it's one of the less fun abilities they put in. Sometimes they just didn't do a great job here. You also get at 5th level an additional spell slot or known spell, Bestow Curse. Once again, Bard's job is to manipulate the battlefield, screw with their enemies, create illusions, heal you up, buff or debuff. One of the best debuffs in the game is to Bestow Curse. Then going to your 6th level and getting another one, I chose Hypnotic Pattern. Now, there are a lot of choices here in spells, so take your choices, but it's an area effect that's going to hit a bunch of people at once, and if they fail their saves, they're screwed. They're incapacitated. It is a free-for-all to mess them up, and they aren't breaking loose until they make their save. And that is great. Then this is also one of the big reasons to choose the College of Lore, is now you get the additional magic secrets. One does not count towards your known spells, and you get 2 more spells from any spell list you want. And the ones I chose are clutch spells. And these are Revivify. Your healer goes down. You don't have a healer. Somebody is down. Well, you carrying a 300 gold diamond. Bam! Your person is back. Just bring somebody back from the dead within the first minute they've been down. Fantastic spell. But the best spell to use this for, and in fact, if this doesn't end up on your bard list regardless for magic secrets, you're playing your bard wrong. Let me be clear here. Spell selection, no matter what you're trying for, if this spell is not on your list, you are doing it wrong. There's not a lot I'll tell you you're doing wrong. I can't imagine what possible decision, when you have the choices you have before you with spells, that you would make to not have a spell on your spell list, and that is Counterspell. Counterspell is your clutch spell. That is, oh, you want to cast a spell that screws everybody over? No, you fail. Now, here's an additional part to this. You got Counterspell, but you only got a 3rd level spell slot, but they're casting a level 9 spell. You need 19 on your roll. That's whatever's on the die plus your modifier. Well, you need 14, right? Because you've built up your charisma on your bard up to 20, right? At this point? Well, even the +4 we've already got on this bard. That means 15. But at level 6, you have a 3, which means you get an additional 1 from Jack of all trades. So when you roll that 1 less, and you realize, oh no, I got Jack of all trades, that is when the table erupts. Level 9 spell negated. Because you rolled 14 and a 4 for your charisma modifier, and Jack of all trades brings up to the 19 you need. It can be epic. It can be game-changing counterspell. And with Jack of all trades, adding to your ability when the spell level is higher than 3rd level and you don't have that spell slot, it is awesome. You are free and clear. Heading to level 8. Once again, ability score improvement. That's going into charisma for that 20 in charisma. Getting that out of the way right away. Then you get to 7th level and you get another spell for 4th level spells. First choice, polymorph. Being able to turn people into beasts is funny. You turn the giant monster into a bunny. You turn the dragon turtle into a sea anemone. It does not matter. This stuff gets hilarious. Then you can do evil things. One of the most evil things that one of my players did was they used polymorph to turn a big bad that was going to kill them. They were done into a bunny. But they didn't just leave it at that. No. They had someone come and use shape stone to create a 5-foot hollow in the stone floor, and they put the bunny in it. So the bunny's in a little 5-foot cube. The monster's gargantuan. Then they canceled the spell. The concentration on the spell. 5-foot cube of space in solid stone, gargantuan creature. Enough damage to kill them. That was evil. But funny. Next, at 8th level, 4th level spell choice, I chose Dimension. The utility of Dimension Door is beautiful. Additionally, one of the big things that people often forget with this spell is it gives you 500 feet of movement in any direction you want that you can teleport. That can be a great escape. That can be a lot of things. But if you have an ally that is your size or smaller, they can teleport with you. Add to that comes with everything they're carrying. Barbarian picks up the dead body of your ally. You use Dimension Door. There's your whole party almost, or all of your party, depending on party size, gone. Out of the fight, away from whatever's killing you. Or stealing whatever you couldn't steal without getting killed. That is great. Then we go on to level 10. Now level 10, your Song of Rest goes up to a D8. Your Bardic Inspiration goes up to a D10. You get Expertise again. Right here at level 10, I chose Deception and Persuasion. You might want to have done this back at level 3. Whatever you want to do. But those are great ones. To lie or trick somebody into doing what you want as a roleplay is awesome. And you can annoy the hell out of your DM with Persuasion or Deception. Just bypass encounters, get stuff that you shouldn't, learn things you shouldn't. It's fantastic. Then for the cantrips, I chose Minor Illusion. When you get your 4th cantrip at level 10, that can't be stated. An at-will illusion can be a distraction you need for a surprise attack, for bypassing something, for any number of uses that can be really helpful. Just, hey, this is what it looks like, or this is what that person looked like, can be huge, or this is what it sounded like, as ways to communicate things so the DM can really go off the best case information when you're trying to get something out of them. Also, you get a 5th level spell. I chose Dominate Person. Now you might choose Whole Monster or any number of other ones, but Dominate Person. Humanoids, in the vastness of most things, short of really weird campaign, are going to probably be your most common creature type. And being able to take over their mind and use them as your puppet, well, that's just downright what a bard does. Also get magic secrets with this. That's counting towards your bard spell levels will be no spell, so be very picky when you're choosing your magic secrets at this point. I chose Wall of Force and Cone of Cold. Wall of Force, protection, battlefield control. You can just divide half the battlefield, isolate enemies so that they're stuck behind that wall or that dome or whatever you want to set it up while you deal with their allies. So you've turned an overwhelming encounter into a just slaughter where you just butcher them. Then Cone of Cold is just an excellent area effect combat. Cold is, it's got a lot of resistance and immunity, but it is probably far lower down the list than most, even fire. And it hits hard, it hits a wide area, and if you use it right or position yourself correctly, you can take out whole swarms of enemies, particularly if you're in a big kobold or goblin encounter or something like that. Now moving on to level 12. Once again, ability scores come back up. Now, ability score here is Dexterity. Pumping up that Dexterity. For the AC, for the skill buffs, all of it. Then, for the 11th level spell choice you get, I'm choosing Mass Suggestion. Now, for a 6th level spell, it may not seem like much, but the ability to suggest to all of your enemies, isn't it just a waste of our time to fight each other? Wouldn't it be best if you went home, took off your armor, had a long meal, and went to bed and thought about it in the morning again. Works for 24 hours until they're done with it. It is awesome. You can affect up to 12 people. The ability to affect crowds, to affect enemies is just huge. That's why I chose this one. Level 14, Song of Rest is up to a D10. Now, for your 13th level additional 7th level spell choice, there is only one spell I would choose out of the Bard list. This is fantastic. It is great for control. It is Force Cage. Oh my god. Ooh. The ability to close off someone completely from combat, to really make it to where they can't get out, is useful as all get out. And this spell will come in handy. At this level as well, you get Magic Secrets again. I chose two very interesting spells. You may not agree with me, but I think they are some of the most fun that you can have here. First is Plane Shift. Now with Plane Shift, that's getting to other realms for a variety of reasons, whether you need to visit there, to deal with something, retrieve something, or you just want to. You just want to go visit the Feywild. You just want to see what elemental plane of fire is like. Whatever the case may be. You want to go capture yourself air elemental. Whatever. Or even more ballsy into Jen. Deo, on the earth elemental plane, if you capture one of those, they can go find you gold. Gems. There's just a wealth magnet right there. So Plane Shift also is handy in the sense that it can be an easy out for the party. You know, you guys are on another plane of existence, you finish what you needed to, but you're stuck in combat. Plane Shift out. It's an escape hatch. It's also a way to send creatures to other planes. Fire Elemental's not going to do real well in the elemental plane of water. And even if you send them somewhere else, they're still not on the plane of existence you're on. And short of being a creature that can transit planes or can find someone to transit planes, you're never seeing them again. Oh god, I murdered the mayor and his wife's the only witness. Well, enjoy the Feywild. She comes back from the Feywild, well, she's crazy. She was on the Feywild for years. Anyways, you can look the spell up. You'll see the myriad of uses. The other one I chose for this one was Divine Word. Now, a lot of people look at this and go, oh, but you're looking at such low hit points to even make an effect. 50 hit points to just blind somebody. 20 hit points to kill people. But what you got to realize is that is everyone who can hear you. That's the beauty of it. Let's be clear. It's a bonus action. It is verbal only. It has a 30-foot range. It is a charisma save, which is usually one of the worst saves for people, short of intelligence. Unless somebody is deafened or out of the hearing range, they're going to be affected. They're going to have to make that save. It is instantaneous. You utter a divine word imbued with the power that shaped the world at dawn of creation. Choose any number of creatures, and that's the beauty of it. You get to choose. It's an AoE that doesn't affect your party or people you don't want affected. You get to choose. Each creature that can hear you must make a charisma saving throw. You want to kill a whole town because you're evil. You gather them up in the town square. Divine word. Or if you want to, as the DM, have the big bad kill a town. Here's how they did it. You know, there's a priest. He's going town to town, leaving swaths of dead people in his wake. Come on. That's just a great hook for a party. So, 50 points or fewer, deafen. 40 points if you're deafened and blind for 10 minutes. 30 hit points. Blind, deafened, and stunned for an hour. 20 hit points. Killed instantly. It's an insta-kill at 7th level. And you go, oh, but that's such few hit points. You get down to that last little bit of combat, and you're telling me that that isn't useful? Oh, there's the dragon in front of you. You wore out its legendary resistances. It's down. You've hit it for 200-300 hit points. It's got to be down to almost dead, but it's still up, and it's got a breath weapon soon. Your last player before their turn's up. One word, and they're dead. Also, by that point, anyone else they have on the battlefield menu-wise is down to this point. If not, they're going to be 50 points or lower, which means probably 40 points. Blinded, that's some disadvantage on attack rolls, everything. Stunned if they're at 30. Dead if they're 20 or less. You make yourself seem like God to villages and kobolds, commoners, whatever. Anything that has low hit points. Just with this one word. The magnitude of the destruction you can do with this one word in Divine Word is awesome. But this is the part that makes this spell clutch. Now, if it was just this, I might go, sure, choose something else. But regardless of current hit points, a celestial, elemental, fae, or fiend that fails its save is forced back to its plane of origin, if it isn't already there, and can't return to your current plane for 24 hours by any means short of a wish spell. It's banishment! Not only is it an insta-kill, it's banishment for 4 major creature types. 4! You can be outclassed by creatures. You're fighting Archfey. You're fighting an elemental doomsday thing. Whatever. One word. It's gone. Perfect. So, you argue all you want on that one. But that's why I want it. My ultimate boo. Then you get Peerless Skill at 14th level. Whenever you make a ability check, you can spend a bardic use, roll the bardic, and add the number to your ability check. So this starts adding your bardic inspirations for yourself and your ability rolls. Level 16, another ability score. That's where your dexterity is going up to 20. And then for your spell at 15th level, Teleport. Once again, utility is awesome. And you do not have to walk everywhere anymore. You're vaguely familiar with a place. You're going to get fairly close. If you're far enough away, no matter how badly you fail your percentile die roll, you're going to still be a hell of a lot closer than you would be otherwise. Take a long rest, try again. There you go. And if not, it's a way to bypass things. So, awesome to me. Then you get to 18th level. Song of Rest is up to D12. You get your first 9th level spell. For some reason I have this listed as 13th level for some reason. 17th level. Anyways. 17th level, you get your first 9th level spell. Now, Psychic Scream is a good choice here, but I would not choose it. Now, the reality of it is, as a bard, you are not a damage dealer. This is a great AoE, gives you great damage range. Watching people's heads explode from a Psychic Scream, awesome. Great alternative choice. But what you get here is true polymorph. Permanently turn stuff into other stuff. The utility of this cannot be underestimated. This has been called the most broken spell in the game for a lot of reasons. There is a lot of uses here that you cannot get past. Period. Now, this is also where you get your magic secrets at 18th level. Your final magic secrets. So choose wisely. If your DM is an idiot, which I hope they are, they'll let you have wish. Now, admittedly, it's not such a stupid move. And because pretty much you're going to be duplicating 8th level or lower spells, or you're going to be risking never using it again. So whatever you may wish for, even if your DM doesn't screw with you, you got a 33% chance of never casting wish again. That's pretty good odds. I'll take that as a DM. Add to that, the DM decides how it works out. So he wants to mess with you, he can. Or she. Actually, I would hope it was a he, because women could be far more creative in these regards. They make better DMs. Remember that, people. Support women DMs. There's not enough of them, and they're better. That's just a fact. Wish is just your ultimate go-to. Get a clone without having to pay the cost of the coffin. Get a simulacrum without having to pay the $1,200 in material, 1,200 gold in materials. The list goes on. Because here's the thing. One, casting time immediately becomes an action. Any cost of materials is covered. You don't have to put that up. And it is just a useful spell in so many regards. You want to build your own fortress? You want to build your own temple? Here you go. Without paying anything. I guess with the Temple of Gods you don't have a material cost, so anyways. But that's every day. Mighty Fortress is once a week. So 52 weeks wish, and you've got yourself a Mighty Fortress and never had to shell out a single 500 gold diamond. That's pretty good. Then the other one I choose on this level is Mass Heal. Best healing spell in the game. 700 healing points, hit points to distribute among yourself and your peers. That's going to get pretty much everybody in the party, and then some up to maximum, healed up, blinded, poisoned, diseased, whatever, that's going to be gone. Great stuff. Then we get to 19th level, and you get to your last ability score improvement. Where do you go with this? Constitution is where I went. Just more hit points. Simple. Then go to 20th level, you get Superior Inspiration. When you roll initiative and have no uses of Bardic Inspiration left, you regain 1 use. Now this may be confusing to some people who don't really understand how initiative works. Technically speaking, you are supposed to re-roll initiative at the top of every round. There are effects that at initiative 20, so wherever a initiative of 20 would be in the initiative order, that big bads and people with legendary actions can use, particularly in layer actions. That's where this comes from. Gets placed. Whenever you get to the top of a round in an initiative order, you're basically re-rolling initiative. If you're doing it smart, you're just rolling initiative once and sticking with it the whole way through combat, because it takes forever this way to go through combat. If this is how you're doing combat, change it now. I understand the appeal of shifting order and things like that. Whatever. Just don't. It takes too long. Combat can already take 3 hours for a minute worth of combat to role play to get done in D&D. Do not make it harder. So, at the top of the round, you get another Bardic Inspiration when you run out. With the things you can do with Bardic Inspiration, even one per round can be the difference between a TPK and just absolute victory. So I want to bring you that for the 20th level for this Bard. Now, the biggest thing here is I've chosen a lot of spells. They are pretty much the best spells to choose. There's a few arguments that can be made in here. But you have 22 known spells. Use them wisely. You only get 4 cantrips. Pick them wisely. I've chosen the best in my opinion, but you may have a different opinion. Regardless of how you play, which subclass you use to build your Bard, remember, be thoughtful of, if you're going against this guide, be sure you have a reason to. It's not a gut feeling. It's the flavor of how you want to role play. It's the scenes you want to set up in the game. It's how you want your world to function. It's, things, the way your DM does things and how they rule. That spell's going to get nerfed, or that spell's going to be too OP and that's not how you like to play the game, or this is too optimized for you. Whatever your reason, have a specific one and be mindful of it when you're creating your character, because when you bring this character to the table and you are OP with it or you are awesome, great, but you're not alone at a table. You have a world of DMs built and went to a lot of trouble to create NPCs, monsters, storylines, worlds upon worlds in there. A lot of stuff that never sees the light of day or he never gets a chance to use. Don't ruin that. Be an enhancement, be an improvement. While you're being awesome, because you should have an awesome time, you should be awesome. Have fun. Remember, you have other players there that you should be enhancing their experience just like they're enhancing yours. It's about supporting each other and building a collaborative narrative. At the end, it's not about winning or losing. It's about how fun you had doing it. It's about the ability that when you look back 3-4 years later and you talk about it, you get excited. It's like the glory days of whatever major accomplishment you've ever had in your life. You talk about that, like graduating from college, the first generation, or making your first million as an entrepreneur, or filing a patent, or writing a book, or whatever. You talk about D&D like it's those kind of life compliment. Or never forget having your first kid, watching them take their first steps. Whatever it might be, play your character that way and make your character the ultimate build for yourself. That being said, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Help me build the channel so I can give you more of this content. But more than anything, keep the adventure going. I'll see you next time in the Sanctum.